Es perfecto! Hello there, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the new EP from Nitepunk, Red Turbulence. This is the debut multi-track collection from Georgia native, as in Georgia the country, not in America, and Brooklyn resident Nitepunk, which may be a surprise to most given he's been putting out music since the middle of last decade. He's always been one for the odd single or remix here and there, making a big impression with the little he's got, releasing for UKF, Disciple, Circus, and remixing for the likes of Amalke and Abstract. The most impactful track though, perhaps being his most recent of 3 collaborations with Mark the Beast, Deadman with Orifice Vulgatron. The truest insight, I think, into the potential of his sounds so far, a cascade of neuro-y seizure sounds contained within a dubstep format. Riveting stuff, you know, the kind of song that reminds you of the most captivating early 2010s modern dubstep. Yet the question remained as to when Nitepunk would put out something substantial on an individual level. How would his sound carry over a whole project? Would it be his most impactful work to date? And now we have that project in Red Turbulence, and the results are good. They are good. This EP has a character and sense of story to it that I'm not sure we've seen on Never Say Die for a long time. The temptation being, of course, to call it dubstep of some sort, but the reality being that even though it is rooted in dubstep in many ways here, it ventures far beyond that. Nitepunk creating some kind of cyberpunk, rave-like 90s breakbeat inspired world that I would say positions it as something very unique in the context of anything dubstep related. Not as much an EP of moments as wave after wave of high-octane, crashing, full-throttle sound. Not about particular ideas as much as it's about the impression it leaves on you. It kicks off with Absolute Zero, which begins with a powerful, imposing breakbeat, gnarly guitar laced in and threatening from the very beginning. Even the opening seconds here feel momentous. I also love the lighter percussion following that, very eerie and tense and really prepares you for the heaviness. The climbing delivery of the breakbeat dubstep fusion is great, winding up and up, quite dizzying but in a good way. The jumpy synths are also a fantastic addition to give the track that extra flavour for the listener to get into. Climbing up and jumping. And it just proceeds to get wilder, the interplay and dynamic between sounds becoming more adventurous as it goes on. Pretty frantic and electrifying by the end. It could have had a bit more variation, but a compelling start here for sure. Just a shame, I suppose, that the percussion isn't quite thick enough to back up what's on top generally. In particular though, that first snare for the first drop, very harsh on the ear, does bring the track down a bit. I have similar feelings with track 3, Shibui, an amazing range of sounds on show, but the percussion again, not that clean. I enjoy the energy and attitude of the heaviness here, the idea as well with those alarming raspy synths. Really nice swing and flow as you could hear there as well, but something about the percussion just stops me from 100% getting into it. To close we have the title track, which initially to me also feels distinctly lacking. The one drop we get arriving in a very impactful way with the deep, stuttered, siren-like jabs, really forthright. You get a taste of it earlier on in the EP, but it's at this point most I'm thinking a Moody Good collab would be insane. But it feels after a few seconds of that like it could push further with the ideas, the amount of sounds available, be more ambitious, fill more gaps, just experiment a bit more, you know. Having said that, I find myself appreciating the swagger and rhythm of it a lot more over time. One of those, I think, where you realise the effect of the idea and what it's going for as it goes on. That leaves track 2, Connected, which, heaviness-wise at least, I find the most rounded on the EP. Another with a great dynamic and real awareness between sounds. The jabs are timed to perfection. I personally would have gone different on the note progression here. The first time, let's just play it. Yeah, you hear that? I would have gone like a lower octave. Because we get that higher one later on, but you know, the intent is there. Have to mention the manic, ravey breakbeat second drop as well. Short-lived and pretty out of nowhere, but exactly what you want at that point, and huge in sound. Just very statement-making. Like most other material here, it's just crying out for a Keith Flint vocal to be layered on top. That ravey energy, combustible, anarchic almost. I feel like I'm being catapulted back into the 90s. High octane and intense to the point that it never feels like you get a true break from it, in my opinion, in a good way. There is a selection of dreamy midsections here that provide a bit of contrast from the full-on stuff, taking you into another world on Absolute Zero, Shibui, and the title track. But the manic material always feels so close and imminent that the EP isn't ever truly toned down. And I like that. I think those sections act as mystifying and alluring extensions of the heaviness, and it works. In particular, the middle of Shibui, which has a good amount of scale to it, epic without going OTT. Pure. But more so the middle of the title track, which actually morphs into the outro pretty much, and expertly so, blooming more and more as it develops with strings and general grandness. The ending there, however, and to the EP, I find odd, you know, gears you up a bit and you're expecting some kind of final hurrah, but alas, no. On that note, though, you also have the end of Shibui, another moment to single the EP out as unique. This neatly cut trap section that winds the track down and down and down, further and further until it's fading out altogether. A bass tune, a Never Say Die track, fading out. Who'd have thought? I mean, it's happened before in bass music for sure, but I can't remember for the life of me any examples. But fact of the matter, it's unexpected, different, and welcomed, even though it does make the track short. Have to give a shout out to the introductions here as well. I mentioned Absolute Zero, but they all get you right here. The booming and incisive trap of Connected, the more hip-hoppy approach of the title track, my favourite though being Shibui with its more futuristic and warped appeal, equally hard-hitting though. The transitioning here I also find really interesting, you know, not as much of a focus on massive builds and hype, which is what we're all used to. Several drops here come out of nowhere. You have Shibui fading out, of course, midsections becoming outros and all of that. I love it. It has structure, of course it does, but it's certainly more unpredictable than most stuff we hear in this scene. You're never 100% sure what direction it will take, what each turn of the page will bring. The sense of story and character is big here. It's an EP that, in terms of format and style, is bringing something new to the bass mainstream, no doubt. A mutation of the formula we know. I've mentioned structure already, but also stylistically. For the biggest label in dubstep, seeing rave, breakbeat, and hip-hop woven in consistently so well is huge. A mad mix of cultures, new and old, and with a load of personality, aggression, and sense of body to boot. Gnarly and classy, you know, got that necessary bite to it, but a charm to the production you don't really find much elsewhere. Most of the drop ideas here, Connected aside, I feel he could have run with far more, I have to admit. Some of the tracks are too short and don't hone in on a particular concept quite enough. Important parts of the production also lack in pretty important ways across the stretch of it, and I think the lasting impression for me is that it's a sound with a lot of potential, you know, album potential, which I don't say for many, as opposed to this EP being the finished Nitepunk article, the real deal per se. But bottom line, it's the music we love unleashed in a fresh and exciting way, and it should be celebrated for that. A good amount to pick with it, no doubt, but as something forward-thinking and ambitious, it's all one could want, I think, and leaves me not only excited as to where he takes his own sound, but for the future of the scene generally. Now, in terms of my favourite on the EP, then I think I'm gonna have to go with Connected, my favourite heaviness on the project, and with the heaviness being the focal part of the EP, as with most bass EPs, I suppose, it does stick out. And for recommendations, if you enjoyed the EP, I would look at Moody Good and Chi, but also for that rave-like flavour, look at a bit of Prodigy. Yeah, just check out Prodigy if you haven't before, you won't regret it. But there we have it, my thoughts on the debut EP from Nitepunk, Red Turbulence. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. What did you guys make of the EP? Do you have a favourite track of the 4? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, hit the notification bell along the way so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video to the channel, and my social media accounts are linked in the description box down below. And if you want to find some other EP reviews on the channel, I will link them right here. But beyond that, keep it naughty. If it's naughty, then you know, and I will see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.